How's everyone doing? Hope nothing's alien ya today.
It's corny. That's a dad cornball joke. Okay. Hey guys, my name is Samantha Gutierrez and welcome to my channel. That's all I had. I don't know why I acted like I had something fun to say, because I don't. I had such a good response from my last alien video that I decided to do another alien video. And I know I said that I was going to make a lot of alien videos, which I am, but I'm still going to throw in some conspiracy stuff here and there and just maybe some like creepy stories here and there. So if you find yourself interested in those kinds of things, I would urge you to click that subscribe button so you know when I come out with another video. Today we are going to be talking about Skinwalker Ranch. If you think Bermuda Triangle and Area 51 are creepy, just you wait. This story takes place in the Uintah Basin, which was once home to a Native American tribe in Utah. This area is a magnet for paranormal activity. UFOs, Sasquatch, also known as Bigfoot, cow mutilation, psychic manifestations, anything you could think of. It's been here since the days of the Spanish missionaries, over 100 years ago. The majorities of these stories take place at a place called Skinwalker Ranch. Now, this is a ranch that is located on 500 acres of land. This ranch has a lot of history, but we're gonna start with Terry and Gwen Sherman. P. Sherman, Wallaby Way, Sydney, Australia. If you know, you know. It's 1994 and the Shermans, actually, I'm not really sure what year. There's like conflicting information on what year the Shermans actually moved into the ranch, but it's either 1992 or 1994. They move into this ranch. They moved in with their 2 children and they were just living the dream. They always wanted to live on a country homestead and this was just a dream come true for them. Shortly after they move in though, they start experiencing really disturbing occurrences. By the way, don't mind my little rash that I have on my neck. It's an allergic reaction, so don't mind me. So the family sees a wolf-like creature, but this isn't just any wolf, guys. This wolf is 3 times the size of a regular wolf. Could you imagine? I don't even want to imagine that. I would be so scared. Guys, I don't know how people do this. Like, how do people see these things and not just cry? Anyways, though, they see this wolf-like creature and it's creeping up on their livestock pen. It comes up to the gate and it sticks its head through and gets a baby cow, a calf, in its grip and starts to try to pull it out of the gate. So the Shermans see this and Terry, which is the husband, he runs inside and grabs a handgun and he runs back out and he starts trying to shoot this thing, which he successfully does, but it's not phased. It's still just is trying to pull this calf out of the pen. So Terry runs back inside his house and gets a rifle this time. And he goes back outside and he tries to shoot this thing again, this time with his rifle. And the thing finally lets go of the calf and kind of just like lurks off. The Shermans end up trying to follow this thing and they follow it to a river bank on their property. And it actually ends up crossing the river and leaving tracks. Now, the odd thing is though, is when the Shermans go to observe these tracks, they realize that across the river, the tracks just stop, like out in the open. They just stop as if this creature just kind of disappeared or vaporized or just vanished into nothingness. Can you say no thanks? Creepy. That's horrifying that this creature wasn't even fazed by the gunshots though. Like, that thing had to be strong and or huge. Like, you know how bears, you can shoot a bear and it doesn't really seem to affect it that much? That's what I feel like happened with this wolf. Scary. Like, it took 8 bullets unfazed. Wasn't even bothered by it. Just kept it moving. The Shermans also reported that this creature smelled horrible, like rotting flesh. And they said that this odor stayed around their property for a while. Which I've always wondered, like, how do so many people know what rotting flesh smells like? People always describe odors like rotting flesh or like death as if that's a normal thing, that like most of us know what that smells like. Thank God, I don't know what that smells like. That's not a very descriptive way to tell me how something smells, because I don't know what to compare that to. And if you do, like, I'm really sorry. How many people know how rotting flesh smells? I hope not many. Over the next few months, visitors reported hearing loud roaring noises and seeing these unidentifiable monsters lurking in the woods. Gross. People experienced feeling nauseous, dizzy, having like spells of vertigo, and even feeling like they were having temporary paralysis. They also claimed to have seen lights whizzing around above the property and hovering. They said that these lights looked like big orange circles or blue spheres, and they would fly around kind of like drones operated by an unseen entity of some sort. Then animals started dying in really disturbing ways. The Shermans would wake up and go outside to find their dogs just burned to a crisp. They would also find their cows dismembered in like very meticulous ways. And this would happen in broad daylight. And I'm smiling because if I don't, I might cry. Like, this is horrifying stuff, but don't get it twisted. I am not smiling out of happiness. This is some foul shit. So these cows were dismembered and then they were gutted. And the way that this was done was in such a meticulous, like surgically precise way that they knew that no animal could have done this. The cows would also be drained of all their blood, but the weirdest part is that none of this blood could be found near their bodies. Their eyeballs were removed and found placed a couple inches to a foot away from their bodies. What kind of animal gouges another animal's eyeball out and then leaves it there? That's not normal. That's sus. There was another incident where the Shermans were out on their ranch, farming away, doing cowboy type things, and all of their cows were out in the field. They went inside to like grab a drink or something. Who knows why they went in, but they went inside for a break for just a few minutes, and when they came back out, all of their cows were gone. They had no idea where their cows went. They ended up finding them all like crammed inside this little outdoor like trailer type shed thing. And when they found them, all of these cows were in like a catatonic state. They just were not moving. They were just staring. So the Sherman stories ended up in a newspaper article, and this captured the attention of a lot of people, one of which being Robert Bigelow. Robert Bigelow ended up actually purchasing the property from the Shermans because the Shermans got so freaked out and scared that they decided to put their property up for sale and move. They were over it, and I don't blame them. It would have only taken me one incident to be like, I'm getting the hell up out of here. I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye-bye. Now, Robert Bigelow was the founder of an organization called NIDS, which is the National Institute for Discovery Science. Robert ended up organizing a research team to go to the ranch and set up research equipment, observation posts, and a 24-hour surveillance system. This led people to believe that Robert was part of the CIA or affiliated with the CIA in some way, or that he had prior knowledge or contact with aliens, which he denies. He says, that's not the case, y'all. I'm just a curious person. So they got all this stuff set up and all of the weird stuff kept on happening. But the weird thing is, all of their equipment would just magically malfunction during the times where they needed these pieces of equipment to like record what was going on. The equipment would turn out broken and shredded with wires like ripped out of it. So weird and oddly convenient. Another weird thing is that all of the files and the research that was collected by Mr. Bigelow and his team, confidential, sealed files, can't access them. You say government cover-up? Because that's what I think is happening here. One of the team members said that there was definitely some kind of very smart, like probably telepathic, can tell the future type of being that was always like 2 steps ahead of them. Every time they wanted to capture something on camera, this something, whatever it was tampering with their equipment so that they could not catch this thing. It was on to them. Another team member, Colm Keller, claimed to have seen a large humanoid creature perched in a tree, and it seemed to be spying on him and his team members. This tree was about 50 feet away, and he was perched about 20 feet up in the tree. Sorry, 50 yards away, not feet. 50 yards. He said, and I'm quoting, "The only indication of the beast's presence was the penetrating yellow light of the unblinking eyes as they stared fixedly back into the night," end quote. That is so creepy. Bruh, if I saw that. You'd have to carry me out of there because my legs would give out. I'm a wimp, guys. If anything was realized in the time that I've been researching stories and stuff, I'm just such a wimp. Colm ended up trying to shoot this with his rifle, and he ended up hitting it, and it just kind of disappeared. They went over to check it out and noticed a print. And I'm gonna have to quote again because this quote gave me the chills. He said, quote, "It was then that I saw it. A single obvious track about 6 inches in diameter, embedded deeply in the patch of snow. It looked unusual. A single large print in the snow with 2 sharp claws protruding from the rear of the mark and going a couple of inches deeper. It almost looked like a bird of prey, maybe a raptor print, but huge, and from the depth of the print, from a very heavy creature." So that's terrifying. Many of the team members later vowed that they would never step foot onto the Skinwalker Ranch ever again after what they went through there. But we'll never know because the files are secure and sealed and we can't access them. So some people think that these occurrences aren't because of aliens, that it's related to one of the most feared entities in the Navajo culture called the Skinwalkers, which is obviously where the ranch gets its name from. Skinwalkers are said to be demonic creatures that can shapeshift into different horrifying things. But most people do believe that these events are caused by UFOs or some kind of secret government experiment. In 2016, Brandon Fugal bought the ranch, and he is determined to figure out what is going on Skinwalker Ranch and the surrounding areas. Him and Dr. Travis Taylor, who is an astrophysicist and has worked with NASA, have been recording everything that they can about this place. Unexplained aircrafts have been seen in the sky. They keep a log and they have like a tracker of all of the air traffic that's going on in the sky, of government aircrafts, traveling planes, and they have seen quite a few unexplained things that they can't find an origin to. They've seen strange pillars of lights beaming up from behind the mesa. There's a big mesa on this ranch, and they see big beams of lights coming out from the top of this mesa. And there's nothing back there. There's like no way to explain it. Then we have Tom Winterton. Tom Winterton is the ranch's superintendent. He was digging on the ranch. I'm not sure why, probably building something, or who knows, it doesn't say why. But he was digging, and after about 3 days, he started developing this very strange bump on the back of his head. Now, mind you, he was warned not to dig by people who knew that you shouldn't dig there, but he didn't listen. And he dug, and he developed this big bump on his head. He went to the ER over it, and it ended up being some kind of fluid that was building in his skull that separated his scalp from his skull. And doctors had no idea the origin of it or how to fix it. And it kind of just started to go away on its own. He was admitted to the hospital for a week, and yeah. One doctor believes that this bump was kind of consistent with what might happen if a beam of radiation was directly pointed at this point on his head. That quickly, it just kind of appeared like that and then went away. It wasn't able to be explained. It made no sense. So the ranch is monitored by cameras, different kinds of cameras too. They've got thermal cameras, night vision cameras. They've got the whole shebang set up over there, which is good because they need to figure out what the heck is going on. These images are recorded 24/7, along with sound frequencies and vibrations that can't be heard by the human ear without the help of like different equipment and stuff. So, a little history on this land. Like I mentioned earlier, it was the land of Native American tribes, specifically Ute tribes and Navajo tribes. Now, some shit went down between them. The Ute tribes started taking Navajo people and making them their slaves. And the Navajo didn't like that too much, understandably. So they went to battle over this. This happened on like the peak of the mesa that's on Skinwalker Ranch's land. And at that peak, like at the top of the mesa, is where there has been really dangerously high levels of radiation recorded. It's said that the Navajo cursed the land because of these battles and the slavery happening. The land is now cursed. So some believe that that is the basis of all of these weird things that go on this land. Back to the radiation though, in the 50s in Nevada, which is not too far from the Skinwalker Ranch, they had a nuclear testing site where they would blow up nuclear bombs. So some people think that all these weird occurrences could be because of the radiation that fell down onto this area. Other strange sightings have been reported like directly next to where Skinwalker Ranch is, in a place called Bottle Hollow, which is a 420-acre man-made like reservoir, which was filled with fresh water in 1970. I hate the way my contour looks on camera, so I'm gonna try something different because I feel like it looks way too harsh on camera. I hate it. Like, ew, look, like one stupid line. In 1998, a police officer claimed to have seen a large light just kind of plummet into the water. And then it re-emerged and just flew off into the night sky. In 2002, there were 4 men standing on the edge of the reservoir and claimed to have seen a big blue spherical orb-looking light enter the water. Can you say Agartha? Guys, is any of this linking together? The more I learn about this kind of stuff, the more I feel like all of these stories have such similar like things that link them all together in some way. You've got lights going into water, it seems. They're entering a hollow earth. Obviously, that's what's happening. Has to be. According to some of the Ute folklore and superstitions, they believed that some bodies of water were actually like evil. Evil spirits would rise up out of the water and like grab you and drag you in. So this reservoir was on Ute land and these things are happening. So a lot of Native Americans believe that to be evil spirits. It matches up with their superstitions. There's a lot of movies that were loosely based off of the events that happened at Skinwalker Ranch. Some of them are called Skinwalker Ranch. Can you believe it? What a weird name, right? This came out in 2013. Then we have Hunt for Skinwalker. That came out in 2018. We have one called Portals to Hell. That came out in 2019. And then 3 came out in 2020. Project Blue Book, Ancient Aliens, and The Curse of Skinwalker Ranch, which is on the History Channel, and I started watching it and it is so interesting. It seems staged, but I'm a sucker. Okay, I'm a sucker for some good staged reality TV. I think it's super interesting, but my husband thinks it's corny. Whatever. I like it. It's also like very educational. Like I learned a lot. Also, some of the things that I mentioned, they're not all movies. Some of them are TV shows. Some of them are only mentioned in like one episode of this TV show or whatever. So some of these aren't all about Skinwalker Ranch, but they just kind of mention it. I also forgot to mention that apparently I couldn't find much about it, but there have been crop circles found on Skinwalker Ranch, so there's that. Now, personally, I think that Signs was based off of this place because if you think about it and like everything that happened in Signs, it's pretty consistent with some of these weird things that happened on Skinwalker Ranch, isn't it? But it doesn't say that it is. I think it is though. The dogs, even the setting, like if you look at the pictures and then like the setting of signs, it just looks like it. Some other strange things that have happened on Skinwalker Ranch include things like when people have tried to like trace where the radiation is coming from exactly, or where like electromagnetic energy is coming from, they found it to have been coming from like 1,000 feet up in the sky. So they sent up a drone with like electromagnetic devices that record how much electromagnetic energy is in the air, and it just stopped working like as soon as it got to 1,000 feet, which was like not normal. They also tried to send a weather balloon up, and the weather balloon stopped working as well. Like the equipment they had on it stopped working. So weird. Also, in the show that I started watching about this, Skinwalker Ranch has like 3 different properties on it. There's like Homestead 1, Homestead 2, and Homestead 3 or something like that. And in one of the homesteads, it's like all dilapidated and run down. No one's been there since like 1905 or something like that. People say that that's haunted. People hear weird noises coming from there, and like a lot of the weird activity is just centered around that area. In another one of the homesteads, it's where a woman and her boyfriend live together, and they kind of oversee the ranch. So they live in this house together, and they always hear weird banging noises and just hear strange different kind of knocking noises coming from the basement. So they go to inspect the basement, and they realize that there's like this hole underneath this house, and it's just an empty cube. They end up sticking a camera through a hole to see what's in this tiny little like cell, this little room in their basement, and they see that it's like a pristine little cube with no access to like the outside. Sorry if my hand is in the way. And they end up seeing that there's like a little pile of something in the center of this room. So they knock a hole in the wall, gather this stuff, put it in a bag, stick it under a microscope, and realize that it is bones. It is straight up bones, but they're all like fragments of bones. It's not solid bones. And it doesn't make sense because there's no access to the outside. Like, what the heck are these bones from? Don't ask me because I haven't finished the series yet. And I saw that on the TV show. So if you want to know, you better go check it out on the History Channel. Sorry, I know that was a tease. But yeah, that's just so weird. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And the woman that lives there said that these sounds were like knocking. Sorry, I had to do my lips off camera because I can't talk and do my lips at the same time. But it sounded like someone was knocking on her floor from her basement 3 times, boom, 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 and she could feel the vibrations of it. Excuse my hair. I never do my hair because I don't have time to do my hair, so don't judge me. So yeah, that is all I know about Skinwalker Ranch as of right now. Super interesting stuff, really creepy, really scary, just gross. Just gross stuff. I hope my eyelashes look okay. Last time they looked super weird, and I know that. I tend not to realize that I look weird until I see myself on camera or something, you know? Like, I look in the mirror and I think I look fine, but then I either like get out into public and I realize I look like an idiot, or I see a picture of myself and I'm like, holy shit, why didn't anyone tell me I look so dumb? I hope you thought this was interesting, and I hope you join me on my next video. If you have any ideas, if you want to hear about something, leave it in the comments down below, and I will hopefully see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Excuse me, don't judge me. You burp too.